My name's Tom Travatt. I'm a portrait and headshot photographer based in Bermondsey in South East London. Welcome to my studio. I'm just going to run through a couple of things that I do and maybe try and give you some advice about choosing headshot photographers, how to get the best out of your headshots, how to use the headshots online. But to begin with, I want to give you a little bit of a backstory about how I got into photography. 20 years ago, I did an art foundation in photography. I was shooting on film and processing my film in the darkroom. But then I got into art and curating and running my own galleries. And then I did my PhD in art theory in Goldsmiths University. And now currently I teach at Goldsmiths University as well. I got back into photography in 2020 due to that big thing that happened in 2020. It was mostly because I had been doing my PhD and teaching and DJing on the side. And then obviously we were all locked in our homes, so I decided that I wanted to, get back into photography. So I spent a year roaming the streets of London, taking street photography. It was quite interesting because there was nobody on the streets. It was quite exciting. But then I got into headshot photography. Beginning of 2021, mostly because I was working with musicians and DJs and I wanted to get work more with actors. Started out of the second bedroom in my flat and shot there, worked with a range of amazing people and found that actually after about 6 months it was probably time to move to a studio. So I moved into a studio. I was sharing with 2 other photographers. From there I moved into another studio about 8 months later, which I was in for a year. And then finally I've come into the studio, which I've been in for about 2.5 months. There's a number of things that I really love about working with actors, performers, professionals and so forth in the creative world. Firstly is I love having great conversations with people. I think that I treat photography a little bit like it's a conversation, it's a long conversation, and there just so happens to be a camera there.
Now you know a little bit about me, let's have a look behind the scenes at one of my shoots.
So today we did a shoot with Kezi, who's an actor. She wanted to work with me for a while, and she came to the studio today to do a shoot. As you can see, we start in kind of natural light. Got this big window here that I really like starting with. And then progressing on to studio light kind of halfway through the shoot. For me, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm trying to get people comfortable in front of the camera. I think what I want to try and do is capture some kind of emotion, some kind of story. So that doesn't necessarily come from comfort. But of course, the first few frames, let's say the first 20 shots, it's a little bit like making pancakes. That first pancake is terrible. So, the first few shots, they're never going to be perfect. And it's about getting to know somebody and getting used to being in front of the camera. So I'll just shoot a number of frames and then boom, we'll start working together properly. So yeah, some of these shots with Kezi today, I'm really excited about. I love her features, I love the strong features that she has. Sort of dark eyes, dark eyebrows, and then obviously she's got amazing tattoos. Here's the majority of my cameras, camera kit and lenses. So I shoot on a Fujifilm GFX 50S2, which is a medium format camera, so it's got a slightly larger sensor than regular digital camera. There's a number of reasons why I do this. Firstly, I think there's a certain look for digital medium formats. The slightly larger sensor takes in more light and brings in more information. It means there's a slightly different, what's called dynamic range between the darks and the lights. I also love the colors that come out of the Fuji camera, and the kind of whole experience of shooting on a Fujifilm camera is really nice. It feels a little bit more tactile a little bit more like you're using a kind of an old manual SLR. I shoot on a range of lenses. Got a couple of these Zeiss Otus lenses. Got an 85 and a 55 here. Essentially, I just wanted to find the best glass that I could find for digital photography, for digital cameras. But I also shoot on a number of vintage lenses. So this is my kind of go-to portrait lens. It's an 85mm Canon FD lens from the 1980s. It opens up to f1.2, which is a very wide aperture, which gives lots of kind of out of focus areas of the frame. I think this is a really beautiful lens. It looks absolutely fantastic. And then this is a Cinelux lens, so a lens that's on the front of a cinema projector. It's a Schneider lens. Apparently they're fantastic. And I just adapted it for my medium format camera by putting on these what's called helicoids, these little bits and pieces that you screw onto the front of the lens and adapt it to the camera. It's at a permanent f-stop of f2, so you can't change the size of the aperture. This gives a certain look. I think this is probably a really good lens for shooting out in the world rather than just in the studio, because apparently the out of focus areas are really lovely. And then occasionally I pull out my medium format film camera. So this is my Mamiya RZ67. 67 refers to the size of the film negative in the back there, and it's a really beautiful camera to use. I did a little bit of my shoot with Kezi on it today, and yeah, so I've just been getting back into film photography. I was much more dedicated to film photography when I was just starting out, almost 20 years ago, and now I'm getting back into it. So I also have like a Canon A1 film camera, which I take on holiday or whatever with me. So yeah, that's my range of lenses. I really love these Zeiss lenses. The Otus lineup is reportedly one of the best quality Zeiss lenses available, which I think is reflected in their rarity and their price. So at the end of a shoot, when I'm sitting down with my client, the actors, to choose the photographs, we go through the list of photographs together, and what I always say to people is to think about range, differentiation and story. It's not necessarily about choosing the photograph where you look the best, it's about choosing photographs that show a range and can differentiate you from other actors. So yeah, I open this photograph up in Photoshop. We zoom in, and we're just basically taking away things that might not be there in a couple of weeks' time. It's just not to flatten your skin or smooth your skin out too much. It's just to work with what's there and just make it look like you've had a really good night's sleep. And here I am just taking away a few little bits and pieces, just blemishes, just spots, not making it look too perfect. I don't want to shoot a fashion shoot on you or a beauty shoot, and then just take out a few bits and pieces. So we're just going to kind of lighten the under eye parts, and just take away a few sort of stray hairs here and there, just using frequency separation and some cloning to make the skin look a little bit tidier. And then just going to add a couple of blues into the blacks with selective colour, just to make it look a little bit cooler in those black tones, right in the dark black tones. And I'll take it back into Lightroom to the color grading, where I'll just do a little bit of lifting of the blacks in with the tone curve, just to make it a little bit more like it might work. Slightly lower the whites down as well, and add a little bit of grain in. I might pop in and just slightly deepen those shadows by painting in the shadows, and slightly lighten the light. So I might pop in also a little bit, add a bit of clarity to the eyes, just tiny little bit. It doesn't need it too much for this, because as you can see, this is using the Zeiss lens. It looks absolutely incredibly sharp on the lens, and then I'll just go in and just slightly dodge and burn into the shadows and the highlights, just to kind of add a little bit there. And then just, I think I want to slightly deepen those shadows a touch. And then just a crop. I always crop 4x5. Oh, it's the Instagram crop, I know, but just kind of like that. And then I might actually even straighten it as well. So one of the things I love about working with actors is that the headshot is part of their marketing material. It's not the only thing that they can use to market themselves, but it is quite often the most important thing that they can use to market themselves. If you imagine a casting director sliding through a photo gallery of 300 images of all people, looking like this casting type. For me, what I try and aim to do is slow that scroll. So the casting director might be going through all those photographs. What I want to try and do is take a photograph that can make them stop, make them pause for a second. Maybe they'll click on your link, maybe they won't, but they'll pause because they want to know more about you. And the aim isn't really here to take a photograph just of your face. Of course, it's got to look like you. It's got to, tell the casting director what you look like, but it's really to tell a story. The most important thing for me is telling a story, because it's a little bit of intrigue. And the way that I approach marketing, I think the way that most businesses, approach marketing successfully, is not giving everything away immediately, but getting somebody a little bit more interested in what it is that you can offer, you can bring to the table. So a really good headshot for me is a kind of photograph that does that. It seduces the person who's looking at it and gets them to want to know more about you. So they'll click on your profile, they'll look at your CV, they'll look at your other photographs, they'll look at the show reels that you've got there. And then it's your job. It's up to you then at that point to make the best of how you present yourself. But my job is to get them to stop that scroll. A couple of months ago, I worked with an amazing actress called Calypso. She's quite young. She's just starting out in the acting world, and she'd got some headshots before, but kind of somewhat standard photographs. So we did a shoot, and she posted the photographs on her Spotlight profile. And I'm really excited to say, and happy obviously, that this is my photography that's got her in this position. But she's now shooting or has just wrapped on kind of new period drama. So for me, that's amazing, because I'm like, well, I worked with her, and we got some beautiful photographs, and they actually succeeded in getting her the role that she's in at the moment. Something aesthetically pleasing to my eye, to my taste, is important, but it's also got to do a job. It's got to have a function, and I think that's the kind of interesting sort of excitement about a headshot photograph, because it's not just a portrait. It's not just a kind of vanity portrait where you've got to look good, or you've got to have a particular sort of outfit on, or you've got to look you've got to look your best. For me, it's about telling the story that makes a casting director imagine what it is that they, what you in a role. They can imagine you in their particular role they've got in their mind. And that, for me, is a kind of exciting part of it. It's this kind of combination of the aesthetic and the functional. So whenever I work with actors, the first set of conversations I have, we sit down, we talk about their casting type, what roles they've played in the past, the kind of roles they might want to play in the future. And we look at the kind of things that they're maybe being cast for, but they don't want to be cast for. And we look at their headshots they've got previously or the photographs they have already. And maybe we're pushing in a different direction, giving them more range, something else that they can use, something, a little bit of spice that they can add to their portfolio. Or we're starting from scratch and we're completely getting rid of their photographs before, and we're starting from the position of a full portfolio shoot. And the way that I start this is really thinking about the types of roles that they want to play, the types of roles that you want to play. And I think I would encourage you to think about that. I'd encourage you to think about the ways that you want to present yourself to the world, in a way thinking about branding yourself, a little bit like a business might market themselves. Think about the brand that you have. Now, it might be horrific to combine marketing with acting or art and so forth, but I think that kind of little combination is really important to think about, because someone who's reaching out to find you, to want to work with you, they're going to want to know more about you. And it's really important for you to be able to kind of pinpoint the kind of work that you want to do, and having a really good headshot that tells a story that you want to tell. That's kind of key, really. One of the things that always surprises me about working with actors is when I look through their Instagram profile and they've got nothing about acting on it, or maybe even they've got a private Instagram profile. I think Instagram is a real pain in the arse, but it's also quite a useful tool. I think we can leverage Instagram, we can leverage social media, Instagram, TikTok, and so forth, to try and grow our businesses, to try and grow our profiles. But one of the things I'd always suggest to actors, not just post your headshots, not just post the photographs that you get taken, not just post, a selfie of you eating a nice dinner, but really help the people that are watching you get to know who you are as an actor. So that might be posting behind the scenes footage of you doing a photo shoot. It might be posting, you and your castmates having a after party from the show that you've just been in. Use social media a little bit like a way for your audience to get to know you as an actor. That's certainly the way that I approach it with my business, my photography business. I think that's probably quite helpful in a way. And it's about connections. It's about, it's social media, right? So it's about connections. It's about trying to build the connections with other actors, directors, filmmakers, writers, and so forth. So trying to reach out to those people to build those kinds of connections would be a really good idea. So I think the main points to remember with headshot photography is to think about the range of photographs that you might use, how you want to present yourself to the world, the kind of brand, I suppose, that you want to present, kind of things that you want to say to people with the story of the photographs. For me, the most important thing is obviously the story. And I think that if you're presenting yourself to the world in a certain way, think about the kind of things that you're saying with your photography. Like I said, I like to shoot a bit more editorial type photography, which I think helps you elevate yourself a little bit more, helps you stand out a little bit more from the other actors out there. So think a bit about using editorial photography within your Spotlight profile and on your Instagram profile. And thinking about always being able to have a series of photographs that you can swap out constantly with your other photographs on your Spotlight profile.
Make that investment in the right way, and rather than just going for like the cheapest photographer or the closest photographer or the photographer with the most images in their packages or whatever, think about it in terms of the brand story that you're trying to tell, the kind of feeling that you want people to have when they look at the photographs of you.
I always encourage people to think about the ways in which those photographs might be used. So if you're an actor posting them on Spotlight, I would always say it's great to have one image that's always going to be, a great front page, a kind of headline image, and thinking about being able to swap out that headline image on multiple occasions depending on the roles that you're going for. So if you're going for a really serious, gritty role, then maybe you want a serious, gritty headshot up there when you're applying for that role. If you're going for something a bit lighter, maybe it's more of a lighter kind of warmer, friendlier image. And then, of course, all of those photographs that are also on your profile, the sort of 5 to 7 other photographs that you have there. Some of them can be tight in headshots, kind of cropped quite close, but some of them I always think is useful is slightly wider, kind of not quite full body shots, but maybe more editorial shots. And the reason I think that these editorial shots are useful for actors is because whenever I see profiles, spotlight profiles of young actors straight out of university, they always seem to be 5 headshots, same lighting setup, maybe t-shirts changed and the background's changed. And that's all it is. It's 5 photographs that are basically the same. They might be great photographs, they might be amazing headshots and so forth, but they all look somewhat similar. Maybe you're a bit serious in one, maybe smiling in another. And they're all like super well lit, sort of front face on, showing everything. Great, it's fantastic to have those because casting directors need to know what you look like. But as people progress in their career and they work more with photographers and they're creating more content and they've got more photographs, they've got maybe an interview in a magazine or something like that, they start putting up more editorial photographs on their profile, adding a little bit of mood, not necessarily looking at camera, showing a little bit more of your body, maybe kind of a bit wider, precisely because what I want to do is make it seem as though you've had more photo sessions, more photo shoots, that you're a little bit sort of further down your career path because you're a little bit active on there. And in a sense, it's kind of telling people a little bit more of a story about who you are and what you can do. If you're sitting on a seat in a certain way, maybe sitting at a table, it tells a story a little bit more. It tells something else about that person. We'll sit down and look through all the photographs and we'll make that kind of first selection, the first cull, and then we'll go through again and make that kind of refinement of that to shortlist some of those photographs, make that list a bit shorter, and then finally we'll go through and we'll do a kind of a final look through those photographs. And the way that my pricing structure works is that you pay for the session and then you pay per image. So the session is essentially my time, and then the per image amount is, you can buy 5, 6 images. Some people buy 10, some people buy 15, or even up to 20 photographs. It's great to have those kind of 5 to 7 photographs on your spotlight profile and another 5 to 7 in your back pocket, so that at any given time you can swap out those photographs. The other thing I'd say is that I do within my sessions, you get a free 1-hour top-up session anytime within the next year. So if you grow a beard, get a haircut, change the color of your hair, just come back with a free session. You just then buy the photographs at the end. Very, very straightforward. It just means that, we've done a shoot, we can come back and do another kind of hour shoot very quickly and just get a kind of top up of the photographs that you've got.
If I had a tip for actors looking for headshot photographers, it would be really to look for photographers whose work that you like. If you're looking for the style of their work, the kind of way the mood, the kind of way that they portray their characters, the stories that those photographs are telling, and that they kind of gel with what you're wanting to say about yourself, about your brand maybe as an actor, then that's the kind of most important thing that you can think of when you're looking for a headshot photographer.
I charge a set amount for my session fee. That's either a short session of about 1.5 to 2 hours, or an unlimited session, which is up to about 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes people work with me for the whole day doing a shoot, and then at the end we sit down and take a look at the photographs and make a selection based on what we think will get you the most work, will push your career in a certain direction, and kind of what are the best photographs there. And then at the end of that, you buy the photographs that you want at a set fee per photograph. What this means essentially is you're not buying for a session plus a number of photographs before you've even seen the photographs. You're just buying the session, and then you can choose. You might buy 1 photograph, you might buy 10 photographs, you might buy 20 photographs, but it's completely up to you, and you've got that choice after you've seen the photographs, not before you've seen the photographs, not before we've worked together. It might be that you don't like the photographs, in which case it doesn't matter. You've paid me for my time, and I come and we look at the photographs and you buy the photographs. So yeah, you really only then, in that respect, buy the photographs you love. It's not trying to sell you a package beforehand before you've seen those photographs. Thanks for joining me and talking about headshot photography with me. So yeah, my name is Tom Travatt. You can find me on Instagram on just @TomTravatt, or my website is www.tomtravatt.com. That's spelled TREVATT. Just reach out. Feel free to reach out and message me if you want to have a chat about headshot photography, how you want to use your headshots. Yeah, just come and give me a shout. Follow me. Let's stay in contact.